He acknowledged that at the start of the call. Apple missed street expectations, but beat their own guidance. What that means is Apple says, we think we're going to do this much revenue, this much earnings, etc. The Wall Street analysts all say, well, we think Apple's going to do this much earnings and this much stuff. Apple's always very conservative with their guidance, and they beat that again. However, for the first time since 2002, they didn't beat analyst expectations, according to FactSet data. They expected $7.22 a share on revenue of $29.5 billion. What Apple delivered in the quarter was $7.05 a share on revenue of $28.3 billion. So still a record-setting quarter for Apple. Still very good, but everyone's freaking out because they did not meet analyst expectations, and it wasn't up enough year over year because they didn't have the iPhone in this quarter, and they had the iPhone in previous of the same September quarters for 3 years running.
Yeah. Well, and then of course there's people who were expecting, even if the iPhone 5 hadn't come out earlier, people who might have not bought something because they expect an iPhone 5. But I don't really think, I see a lot of chatter about that online. Oh, you know, analysts drove up expectations so much because everyone thought there was going to be an iPhone 5, but it's like, well, just wait till, I mean, everything's just now in this quarter, right? So yeah, last quarter might have been a little low, but then they broke a bunch of records with the 4S, which it's not called the 5, but it's still a new iPhone. So I don't know how much this matters so much in the long term of an entire year.
If you look at the numbers too, iPhone sales came in at 17.07 million. That was compared with forecast of 20 million. Still a 21% increase. iPad sales came in at 11.1 million units, 166% increase. Quarterly sales record for iPads. Mac sales were even up 26%, which definitely out-indexed the PC sales market. 4.89 million, another record for Apple. iPhone 4S sales not in this quarter, so that's what you're looking at, and I have a feeling this is going to play out well for Tim Cook. People are going to freak out. It's Appleopolis or whatever they're going to say.
Apple's crumbling.
They're already crumbling, and then next quarter you're going to see iPhone 4S sales. They're already sandbagging. Tim Cook in the earnings call said, "Now we only think we're going to see 40% growth in iPhone sales quarter, essentially flat from last year because of the lower prices. I think they'll beat that."
And then they get to say, well, wow, aren't we pleasantly surprised? Exactly. This is just great.
A lot of the things other than the iPhone 4S that can give them a revenue bump. I think the next quarter, I mean, people want to use more than 5 gigabytes of iCloud. That's going to be a service fee that they're going to be collecting. The Mac App Store is going to keep making money because they're making all the top 6 million downloads for purchases offline.
Well, those are very big percentages of the revenue.
There's little pieces that add up. I think that's what's going to add up. Next quarter is going to look not just with the iPhone 4S. Because they're going to say, oh yeah, well, we have 4S. They sold 4 million in 3 days. That means, I mean, they probably will have a fantastic subsequent quarter.
And then they're going to have the iPad 3 in the next quarter, most likely, with the iPad mini.
It's almost as if, I mean, if you wanted to think about, what really might be going on with sales strategy-wise, this may be the best setup that they could possibly ask for. Sort of go, look, Apple stock down.
And then they have
here.
If they have two straight breakers. Yeah, exactly. Also, just to tag on here, iPhone 4S complaints beginning as per normal. We've got our usual battery life sucks with the new iOS. That usually comes with a number upgrade. When we went to iOS 4, battery life started to suck for everybody. Went to iOS 5, same thing now. Also, yellowing screens seems to be a hit with every new iPhone. We're seeing some yellowish screen tints.
Is it around the same kind of yellow screens that the iPhone 2 had?
Yeah.
And the 3G. I think the problem was some kind of improper glue. And
there were some on iPhone 4 as well.
If you keep using the phone, eventually that goes away.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's going to be complaint for 2 weeks.
It's fresh glue, usually. We'll see if it's the same this time. No antenna complaints.
That's good.
Yeah.
Although I have seen complaints not just for the 4S battery life, but iPad 2 that has been upgraded to iOS 5. I have not seen that problem on my iPad. But I know Ryan Block said...
My iPhone with iOS 5 battery life now sucks.
Really?
Yeah.
So they got to do something about that.
Well, you know what? It's the iCloud. I bet if I turn that off, battery life goes back to normal. But it's doing a lot more checking than it used to.
Right. But that's, I mean, if they want people to use iCloud, then they're going to need to figure out how battery will not suck by using something that they want people to use.
That will come in iOS 4.1. All right, let's take a quick break. Thanks our sponsor, Ford. One of the latest technologies from Ford Sync with My Ford Touch is Wi-Fi. You can turn your freaking car into a hotspot. It's like driving around in a little Wi-Fi now. Or shouldn't do this, but everybody else in the passenger seats can surf the web on their laptop, connect their cell phone. Here's how you do it. You establish an interconnect connection to a Wi-Fi hotspot by plugging in a portable wireless access card. You're going to need a USB card from one of the wireless carriers or a BlackBerry. If you've got a BlackBerry, you can actually get the connection over Bluetooth from a BlackBerry. Then you connect up your Wi-Fi enabled devices to the hotspot in the car. And that's it. Your passengers can access music, browse the internet, do all the things you do on the internet while you're driving around, all without any additional subscription or expense. Ford Sync with My Ford Touch featuring Wi-Fi connectivity is available in the 2012 Ford Focus. And you can learn more about this and other technologies Ford is bringing to its vehicles at Ford.com/. Check it out, Ford.com/technology. We thank Ford for their support of Tech News Today. Dropbox getting $250 million in venture funding, and also a write-up in Forbes as one of the hottest new startups?
Tech's hottest startup.
Well, it's not really. It's been around for so long. I guess
But now it's Tech's hottest startup.
Tech's hottest started
up.
Yeah.
It's not. It's not done starting up.
I think they can still be called startups as long as they're taking venture money.
I guess that's
even if you're not a tiny little 5-person company, you're still starting up.
Anyway, the really interesting thing, they're getting $250 million in funding. They say some things you'd expect, like 39% for people who use Facebook less often. So that's more concerned with privacy means you use it less. That kind of makes sense to me, though. I mean, if you are concerned about the privacy, you're not going to use it as often.
I mean, this is 26% of these people didn't seem to be worried about the privacy. Were they even aware of what's going on? Is that, I mean,
26% of respondents were very concerned.
Very concerned.
So the rest were like, doesn't bother me. Not very concerned. 56% of respondents said they dislike the new features. That actually seems low. I would expect it to be more like 98, given the rhetoric out there.
No, the 56% were very loud.
I think it's more like 56% very angry.
Yeah.
44% didn't notice.
36% approved. That's actually from the survey.
Well,
then a separate survey from Grown Up Thinking, which is a marketing agency, surveying teens, found that they are, as the survey put it, openly and seriously considering spending less time on Facebook as a result of the recent changes.
That sounds like something a teen might say.
It's better than seriously, and I guess not seriously. It's better than secretly thinking about it.
Right.
Only 4% of teens surveyed plan to spend more time on Facebook. 25% of teens said they would use Facebook less and Google Plus more.
You know why?
Why?
Because all their parents are all on Facebook now.
Yeah.
And Facebook is less cool when your parents are there.
And a whole lot of teenagers couldn't use Google Plus. I thought they're still 18 plus from what I've seen. So
25% of teens said, "I'll lie about my age and use Google Plus more." There you go. And then they all loved Timeline. Of the changes, they said Timeline's cool. They didn't like the ticker, which to me it's like Timeline is more of a privacy fear type of thing. The ticker I use the ticker. Actually, when I use Facebook now, I actually see what's going on better because of the ticker.
You can't really help yourself.
I know.
It's just right there. It's pulling you in all the time. I think the Timeline is also more visual. You have an opportunity not just to have a profile picture, but to have your kind of banner picture too. And I can see that being fun for people who want to change their pictures often, which I would think the younger set would do. I don't think they're privacy as much.
In the grownupthinking.com piece, they talk about the ticker being a scrolling stalker. Like as if the information that's up there in the first place wasn't supposed to be there.
It's like something from a horror movie.
Yeah. Scrolling stalker.
Whether you use Facebook or not, you probably have a Facebook profile. Max Schrems of our favorite Europe versus Facebook, we mentioned that they filed complaints against Facebook. One of the complaints they filed is against shadow profiles. This is done by different functions that encourage current users of Facebook to hand off personal data of non-users of Facebook. Things like contacts, email address, get put into Facebook and then get collated together to create a shadow profile that the scrolling stalker will access and find you. So that's a little something. Let's finish off with another Meta this study. This is a study of when they do studies of the literature. They basically go and they find all of the literature of studies that have been done and try to draw broader conclusions out of it. The American Academy of Pediatrics is now suggesting that parents limit TV consumption by children under 2 years of age. The recommendations are based on this survey of the literature and also a little bit of common sense. Here's the reasons they're saying children under 2 should not watch TV. Until your child turns 2, TV is not anything but a big glowy light. So any education that you think your child is getting, they're not getting from the visuals. Maybe they can be getting something from the audio, but mostly it's just kind of something that catches their attention because it's shiny. TV can lull infants to sleep too, which you might think is a great idea if you're a parent, right? But it apparently causes sleep irregularities, and those sleep irregularities could lead to bad side effects. So you want them to have good sleep, not bad sleep. It also can replace things. It's got an opportunity cost, replace talk time with the adults, which could retard development. It might distract babies from playing on their own, which can also retard development. And they say there's a link between increased TV time and developmental delays. They don't know if it's a causative link or not, but there is a link. But the more TV time an infant under 2 spends, the slower the development. Too early to tell on interactive screens. That was where it got interesting for me. They're like, iPads, we don't think it's going to help your kid, but we don't know yet. There just hasn't been enough studies.
Although with adults, I keep hearing how I'm not supposed to read on my iPad because of that LCD light right before sleep, because it can screw up circadian rhythms, natural rhythms that we have.
Activate part of your brain that's supposed to be activated when we go to sleep.
So if it's a problem with adults, I can't imagine it'd be great for a kid under 2. If the TV is already going to cause sleep irregularities.
I'm curious about this idea of replacing talk time. I mean, for me, I always leave the TV running anyway, and now we always see the studies of having a second screen or a third screen around anyway. So like, there's a good chance in my house that the TV's on, and I have a 15-month kid running around, and then she's probably messing with the iPod, or the iPad or something. It's like, I wonder if can you actually diminish the impact of this noise in the background by giving them an interactive toy? I mean, it seems like it's
distract them from the distraction.
Well, kind of. I mean, at this point, is it?
In other words, you're trying to find a way to make sure you can still watch TV while your kids are there.
That's what I'm trying.
Not getting perfectly.
Well, I mean, if he's gonna not watch TV, I'd like to watch TV.
Yeah, Tom, they're really hard to manage sometimes. So I've heard.
Yeah.
Those things?
Children.
Oh, the whole
Yeah. I mean, you gotta do something.
Jason, do you watch TV with your daughter in the room?
You know, it's funny. Only recently have we started, when she wakes up at an ungodly hour in the morning, like 5:30 or 6, she always wants a bottle. So we'll watch an episode of Curious George. She's just started that. And it's actually really great because, I mean, what else is she going to be doing at the crack of dawn while she's drinking her bottle? We sit there,
learning math.
I talk to her about what we're watching and stuff like that. So I wonder if that's a little bit different, because I'm actually pointing out, like, do you see where the balloon is? And she'll point at the balloon. It's a little
How old is she?
She's 21 months.
So she's getting really close to that 2-year-old mark.
Yes,
and that's the thing about this. This is up to 2 years old, and it's not like magically every child at 2 years old can suddenly tell what's on television. You gotta go.
Now you
your
understand.
child obviously can, if you're pointing at balloons, has gotten to the point where they can see what's happening on TV, and so maybe gets the beneficial effects. Because the study does say after 2, then it starts to have positive effects, where it all depends on the content of the television and not just the fact that it's on.
Yeah, are you using TV as kind of like a brain dead device, like just stare at this flashing light for 2 hours? Or are you actually engaging them and being active with them throughout the watching process? And I would imagine it's a different story.
Once they're actually seeing more than just the glowy light, then I think it changes. All right, let's move on to the news feed.